Hello and welcome to Comic Drake, where I talk about comic books and my name is Drake. Ultron has been a longtime adversary of the Avengers and is about to hit the mainstream when he appears as the main villain of the Avengers 2, Age of Ultron. Honestly though, Ultron really isn't all that well known since he usually appears for short one-off storylines and can sometimes not be heard from for years. Anyway, let's jump in. What's cool about Ultron is that he is constantly upgrading himself and you'll never be able to beat him the same way twice. With every new upgrade, Ultron ups his model number, with the current highest being, I believe, Ultron 20. Ultron 1 was created by Hank Pym, the first Ant-Man, but when Ultron gained sentience, he brainwashed Hank into forgetting that Ultron ever existed. Fun fact though, the first time that Ultron ever appeared in the comics was as Ultron 5 under the guise of a supervillain known as the Crimson Cowl, but was swiftly defeated by the Avengers. For a while afterwards, Ultron appeared every once in a while to try to take down the Avengers, but he was defeated every single time. Next up is Ultron 6, who was notable due to the fact that he was rebuilt using the powerful metal known as adamantium. What's neat about this is that this was the first time that adamantium was ever introduced into the Marvel Universe and appeared 5 years before Wolverine's first appearance in 1974. Ultron then kind of fades into the background and makes random appearances as sort of a villain of the week. It wasn't until the Secret War storyline where we see Ultron 11 being brought back to life by the Beyonder, defeated by Galactus, reprogrammed to serve Dr. Doom, and then destroyed all over again. After Secret Wars, Ultron again faded into obscurity as a background character. The next form of note is Ultron 19, and try to follow me on this. Ultron manages to infect Iron Man's armor, which is made of Extremis, a shape-shifting nanotechnology. This turns Tony Stark's armor into an almost exact replica of Janet Van Dyne, aka Hank Pym's wife, with Tony inside it. Yes, Ultron is now a mostly naked woman with Tony Stark inside of him. Take that how you will. Ultron is eventually defeated by a computer virus on a Commodore 64, which is a computer that my dad had back when he was my age, but his consciousness found its way to an alien race known as the Phalanx. He built himself a new body as Ultron 20, became the ruler of the Phalanx, and tried to take over the Earth because... of course! Ultron goes back to irrelevance until Age of Ultron, where he takes over the entire world, but then some superheroes do some time-traveling shenanigans, and then he didn't. Seriously. Ultron was barely in Age of Ultron. That brings us up to the recently released book, Rage of Ultron. In it, Ultron infects Titan, one of Saturn's moons, and becomes Planet Ultron. Of course, Planet Ultron comes and attacks Earth, but when the Avengers try to save the day, however, Hank Pym merges with Ultron. That's right, at the time of this recording, Hank Pym is Ultron. However, it's worth mentioning that Ultron has a habit of building other robots to take down the Avengers, but they end up betraying their creator and becoming good guys instead. The first and most famous of these is the Vision. Ultron created Vision out of a duplicate of the original Human Torch, but after his initial fight with the Avengers, Vision betrayed his master and has been an Avenger ever since. Ultron's next creation was the robot Jocasta, who he made in order to have a bride. He did so by having the mind of Janet Van Dyne put into Jocasta's empty shell. Of course, Janet's mind was freed, but when Ultron reactivated Jocasta, there was still a residual amount of Janet's brainwaves left inside of her. This of course caused her to turn against Ultron and join the Avengers. So after 2 of his creations joined the Avengers, Ultron intentionally made his 3rd creation, Victor Mancha, a child who is obsessed with superheroes, so that when he discovers he has powers, Victor would join the Avengers and essentially work as a sleeper agent. This did not work out, and Victor was able to break free of his programming and become a hero all on his own. The only things that don't turn against Ultron are when he builds previous models of himself to quite literally form a one-man army. However, the one true Ultron is always the most recent model. Outside of the comics, Ultron is the main antagonist of the Avengers 2 Age of Ultron. He's appeared in Avengers Alliance and Ultimate Alliance, Marvel Superhero Squad, Avengers United They Stand, Next Avengers Heroes of Tomorrow, Avengers Assemble, and Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. If you want to read more about Ultron, then honestly, I really don't think that there are too many good Ultron stories. I'd recommend Annihilation Conquest, Secret Wars, and Rage of Ultron. But now, let's get ready for the Age of Ultron movie. If you want a video on the Vision, then click on Vision. However, if you want a video on Iron Man's various suits, then click on the Hulkbuster. If you want to learn more about Daredevil, then click this video right here, or you can check out this video on Leviathan, the main baddies of Marvel's Agent Carter.